Hey everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about something really interesting. Why is it that many people find it hard to think in English or reply quickly, even when they understand what is being said?
That's a great question. It's like this: you know the words, you understand what someone is saying, but then it feels like your brain freezes when you want to reply.
One thing we've noticed is that many English learners spend years focusing on grammar when they start learning. They study all the grammar rules, but they hardly ever speak. So, why does that happen?
Think about it: babies don't start with grammar books. They just listen and copy sounds until those sounds make sense. If you try to learn a language the way babies do, you can start thinking and responding in English more naturally. Doesn't that sound kind of magical?
Totally. So, what's the secret? What do babies do differently from adults when they are learning a language? Or, let me ask, do you think you're smarter than a baby? We're going to share those secrets with you in today's episode.
But first, Amy, I have a fun question for you and our listeners. How many English words do you think you need to know to handle most everyday conversations?
I'd guess around 3,000 words. That seems like enough for most situations.
Good guess. We'll reveal the answer at the end of the episode, so stay tuned. Alright, let's start by talking about some common mistakes that beginners make when learning English. One of the biggest mistakes is spending way too much time focusing on grammar, especially at the beginning.
Oh, yes. This happens a lot, especially in schools and with textbooks. They always focus on grammar rules from the very first day.
Right. You open a textbook, and boom, grammar rules are right in your face. But honestly, that's not how people naturally learn a language.
Think about it: babies don't start with grammar lessons. They don't even know what a verb or a noun is. They just hear how people talk around them. It's all about listening and absorbing the language first.
When beginners focus too much on grammar, it can actually slow them down. Grammar can feel really complicated and even frustrating. Sometimes, people feel stuck because they worry too much about making everything perfect.
Yes. And when they feel frustrated, they lose motivation. I mean, who wants to spend all their time memorizing grammar rules instead of just talking? It feels like solving a hard puzzle instead of having fun conversations.
So here's some advice for beginners: don't stress too much about grammar at the beginning. Focus on listening to how people actually talk and how phrases naturally flow together. Trust that you will pick up the patterns over time, just like babies do.
Exactly. Think of it like this: you're absorbing the language. Over time, the grammar will start to make sense because you'll hear how sentences are supposed to sound.
Totally. Let grammar take the back seat for now. When you're in real conversations, it's more important to understand what's being said and reply, even if it's not perfect.
So that's one big mistake: focusing too much on grammar. Now let's talk about another one: skipping listening practice.
Yes. Babies spend months and months just listening before they even try to say a single word. They listen to everything around them, like how words sound, how people talk, and what they mean.
But in many classrooms, there's not enough focus on listening. Students jump straight into speaking and writing exercises without spending time listening to real English.
And when you skip listening practice, you miss out on really important parts of the language, like how words are pronounced, the tone of someone's voice, and even body language if you're watching people talk.
Without listening, speaking can feel awkward. You don't have a natural sense of how sentences are supposed to sound. Listening helps you understand the rhythm and flow of the language.
So for beginners, we can't say this enough, make listening a daily habit. It doesn't have to feel like homework. You can listen to podcasts, watch shows, or even play English music in the background.
Yes, just let English surround you. The more you listen, the easier it will be to pick up new words, understand phrases, and even start thinking in English.
Another secret is to mimic what you hear. Babies learn by repeating what they hear, even if they don't get it perfect at first.
Exactly. For learners, this means trying to copy the phrases you hear. If you're watching a video or a TV show, pause it, repeat what they just said, and then listen again to see if it sounds the same.
That's such a helpful tip. And if you really want to improve, record yourself repeating what you hear. Then compare your voice to the original. You'll hear little differences in how you pronounce words and where your tone goes up or down.
Yes. This is how you start noticing the small details that make English sound natural.
And speaking of natural, let's talk about something babies do really well, narrating. Babies hear people around them describing everything that's happening, like, we're going outside, or, it's time to eat.
You can do this too. As you go through your day, try talking to yourself in English. Say things like, I'm brushing my teeth, or I'm walking to school. It's a simple way to practice without feeling like you're studying.
This habit helps you think in English because you're constantly using the language for everyday actions. It also helps you remember vocabulary without memorizing lists.
Absolutely. It's like sneaking in practice throughout your day. You're already doing these things, so why not talk about them in English?
Exactly. Now, back to our quiz question. How many English words do you need to know for most conversations? The answer is 2,000 words.
Really? Only 2,000? That's amazing.
Yes. Around 2,000 common words are enough to understand 90% of everyday conversations. It's a great goal for beginners because it makes learning feel achievable.
That's so encouraging. It shows that you don't need to know every word to have good conversations.
Exactly. And remember, if you focus on listening, repeating, and practicing daily, you'll learn those words naturally and enjoy the process.
So true. Keep practicing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. You'll improve faster than you think.
Thanks for joining us today. Remember to learn like a baby, listen, repeat, and enjoy it. See you next time.
Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel.